The prospect of a boxing match between Jake Paul, the YouTube star turned professional boxer, and Anthony Joshua, a two-time heavyweight champion, has ignited a firestorm of debate within the boxing community. This potential showdown, speculated to take place in early 2026, has drawn polarizing opinions from fans, analysts, and boxing insiders alike. On one hand, Jake Paul's audacious callouts and his ability to generate massive attention have made him a polarizing yet undeniable force in the sport. On the other, Anthony Joshua's proven pedigree as a heavyweight titan makes this matchup seem like a dangerous gamble for Paul. The conversation surrounding this fight touches on issues of legitimacy, spectacle, financial incentives, and the future of boxing as a sport. From Tyson Fury's surprising endorsement of Paul to Eddie Hearn's cautious warnings, the discourse reveals a complex interplay of ambition, entertainment, and risk. Jake Paul's boxing journey has been nothing short of controversial. Rising to fame as a social media influencer, Paul transitioned into professional boxing, leveraging his massive online following to create high-profile, headline-grabbing fights. His victories include bouts against former MMA fighters like Ben Askren and Tyron Woodley, as well as a recent win against boxing legend Mike Tyson, who was 58 at the time of the fight. Critics, including prominent figures like Stephen A. Smith and Carl Froch, argue that Paul's choice of opponents, often athletes past their prime or from outside boxing, lacks legitimacy. They contend that his success is more about spectacle than skill, positioning him as an entertainer rather than a serious boxer. Smith, in particular, has been vocal, urging Paul to face active, prime boxers closer to his age and skill level to prove his worth in the ring. Paul's loss to Tommy Fury in February 2023, one of the few times he faced a younger, active boxer, remains a blemish on his record and a point of contention for those questioning his credibility. Despite the criticism, Paul has continued to push boundaries, calling out some of the biggest names in combat sports. His latest target, Anthony Joshua, represents a quantum leap in ambition. Joshua, a former unified heavyweight champion, is known for his devastating knockout power and extensive experience against elite opponents like Vladimir Klitschko, Alexander Usyk, and Daniel Dubois. While Joshua has faced setbacks, including losses to Usyk and Dubois, his resume and physical attributes make him a formidable opponent. Analysts warn that stepping into the ring with Joshua could be catastrophic for Paul, whose boxing experience pales in comparison. Eddie Hearn, Joshua's promoter, has acknowledged the matchup's massive commercial appeal but emphasized its inherent dangers, describing it as a potential disaster for Paul. Hearn's comments reflect a broader sentiment in the boxing world. While the fight would undoubtedly draw massive viewership, it could end Paul's boxing career, either through physical harm or public humiliation. The buzz around a potential Paul-Joshua fight has been amplified by active negotiations between their respective camps. Hearn revealed that discussions with Paul's manager, Nakisa Bidarian, are ongoing, with a tentative timeline pointing to early 2026. Paul himself has fueled the hype, claiming that he and Joshua have been exchanging direct messages and even spoke on the phone to discuss the fight. He has positioned the bout as a transformative moment for boxing, arguing that his mainstream appeal can attract new, younger audiences to a sport struggling to maintain relevance. Paul likens himself to a breath of fresh air, capable of bridging the gap between traditional boxing fans and a broader entertainment audience. This narrative has resonated with some, including Saudi boxing chief Turki Alshik, who has all but endorsed the fight, revealing that Paul has agreed to a staggering 99-1 purse split in Joshua's favor. Alshik framed the matchup as a legitimacy test for Paul, one that could either solidify his place in boxing or expose his limitations. However, not everyone is convinced that this fight is a good idea. Boxing purists and analysts like Dave Farrer and Spencer Oliver have expressed concerns about the matchup, particularly from a health and safety perspective. Joshua, a natural heavyweight with a chiseled physique and devastating punching power, contrasts sharply with Paul, who is seen as a cruiserweight at best. Farrer highlighted the physical mismatch, noting that Joshua's ability to turn it on could result in more than just a knockout. It could pose serious risks to Paul's well-being. This concern is echoed by Roy Jones Jr., who, while acknowledging the fight's potential to generate buzz, emphasized that it must make sense for Joshua both competitively and financially. Jones pointed to Joshua's dominant performance against Francis Ngannou, a former UFC heavyweight champion, as evidence of what Paul might face. Ngannou, despite his combat sports pedigree, was knocked out cold by Joshua, prompting Jones to predict a similar outcome for Paul. Surprisingly, Tyson Fury, a former heavyweight champion and one of boxing's most outspoken figures, has thrown his support behind Paul. In a bold and controversial statement, Fury predicted that Paul would knock out Joshua, even wagering £1 million on the outcome. Fury's confidence in Paul stems from his belief that the fight is a 50-50 matchup, a claim that has stunned the boxing community. Many view Fury's comments as either a troll or a reflection of his own rivalry with Joshua, with some speculating that he's attempting to goad Joshua into a fight with him instead. Paul, never one to back down from a challenge, responded by upping the ante, offering to bet £10 million on himself to win. Fury's endorsement, while eyebrow-raising, underscores the chaotic allure of this potential matchup, a clash that defies conventional boxing logic and thrives on spectacle. The public's reaction to the Paul Joshua narrative is deeply divided. Paul's fans, bolstered by his massive online following, believe in his ability to defy the odds. They point to his rapid improvement in the ring and his knack for generating global attention as evidence that he could pull off an upset. Amanda Serrano, a prominent boxer and Paul's stablemate at Most Valuable Promotions, has defended him, noting the hypocrisy of critics who call him a fraud for fighting easy opponents and then dismiss him as delusional for challenging elite fighters like Joshua or Gervonta Davis. Serrano's comments highlight the unique position Paul occupies in boxing, a disruptor who simultaneously attracts admiration and disdain. Meanwhile, traditional boxing fans and professionals, including Andre Ward, view Paul's callouts as little more than a circus. Ward, a former pound-for-pound great, stated that he wouldn't entertain such challenges if he were still active, dismissing Paul's fights as entertainment rather than legitimate competition. Critics argue that Paul's boxing career has been carefully curated to maximize attention while minimizing risk. His victory over Mike Tyson, while a commercial success, was widely criticized as a mismatch due to Tyson's age and long hiatus from professional boxing. Carl Froch, a former super middleweight champion, dismissed Paul's performance as lacking genuine skill, reinforcing the perception that his success is driven by spectacle rather than athletic merit. Stephen A. Smith echoed this sentiment, arguing that Paul's refusal to consistently face active, prime boxers undermines his claims of taking the sport seriously. Smith pointed to Paul's loss to Tommy Fury as a reality check, noting that Fury, a relatively unproven boxer at the time, exposed Paul's limitations against a younger, more active opponent. For Paul to gain true legitimacy, Smith argues, he must face contenders who are at a similar stage in their careers, rather than relying on high-profile names like Joshua or Tyson. Paul, however, remains undeterred by the criticism. He has framed his pursuit of Joshua as a response to the public's demand for him to fight someone in their prime. In interviews, he has acknowledged the skepticism, admitting that many fans and analysts want to see him lose. Yet, he embraces the challenge, viewing it as an opportunity to prove his doubters wrong. Paul's confidence is bolstered by his belief that his mainstream appeal can elevate boxing's profile, drawing parallels to how Muhammad Ali and Mike Tyson became global icons. He argues that his fights, regardless of the opponent, generate unprecedented attention, pointing out that his bouts are scrutinized far more than the early fights of boxing's all-time greats. This self-assuredness, coupled with his willingness to take on seemingly impossible challenges, has made Paul a lightning rod for debate. The financial incentives for a Paul Joshua fight are undeniable. Both fighters stand to earn massive paydays, with Hearn describing the potential purse as obscene. The involvement of Saudi Arabia, which has become a major player in boxing with events like the Fury-Usyk fights, adds further credibility to the matchup's likelihood. Turkey Al-Shika's support, combined with the 99-1 purse split, suggests that the fight could be a financial windfall for Joshua, who may see it as a low-risk, high-reward opportunity. For Paul, the fight represents a chance to cement his legacy, even if the odds are stacked against him. Critics, however, warn that the pursuit of money and spectacle could come at a steep cost, both for Paul's health and his reputation. The broader implications of a Paul Joshua fight extend beyond the individuals involved. Boxing has long struggled to attract younger audiences, with many fans gravitating toward MMA or other combat sports. Paul's ability to draw millions of viewers, many of whom are unfamiliar with traditional boxing, could inject new life into the sport. However, purists argue that his presence dilutes its integrity, turning a discipline rooted in skill and tradition into a circus of celebrity matchups. The debate over Paul's legitimacy reflects a larger tension within boxing, the balance between entertainment and competition. While fighters like Joshua, Usyk, and Fury represent the sports elite, Paul's ability to generate buzz challenges the status quo, forcing the boxing world to confront its evolving identity. As negotiations continue, the boxing community remains on edge, torn between excitement and apprehension. For every voice like Fury's, championing Paul's chances, there are others, like Hearn and Jones, warning of the fight's dangers. The matchup's appeal lies in its unpredictability, a clash of David versus Goliath, spectacle versus substance. Whether Paul can rise to the occasion or succumb to Joshua's power remains to be seen, but one thing is certain, the fight would captivate the world, for better or worse. As Paul himself put it, "People think I will die, but I will show them why I can rise against all odds." Whether that confidence is delusional or visionary, only time will tell.